From the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, to around the globe. You're listening to Shark Bite Biz, your exclusive place for business strategy, sales, marketing, and tech in the roaring 20s. And now, here's your host, David Strausser.
Welcome to the newest episode of Shark Bite Biz. I'm your always looking good host, David Strausser, and this is your place to learn how to grow a business during complete chaos. We got a fun interview scheduled today. I love it because today's guest is just one of those guests kind of hit it off with. We met because of the show. He listens to it, reached out, and I don't know. I think we're kind of friends now. We'll see. I might actually have him on one of my live streams that we're going to be doing on hotline.co. And today, though, we're going to be talking about money again. Everybody loves talking about money. But first, okay, gotta remember, join the channel for only $3 a month, okay, on YouTube. You gotta go to YouTube for this. You hit that join button. You can become a baby shark, okay? Gives you some benefits or some other tiers there. Join now. If giving money, though, through big tech isn't your thing, don't worry, I got your back. Feel free to go over to our sister brand, deadhousecoffee.com. Use code SHARK, get 20% off your purchase, and all the proceeds help this channel grow. And I don't know if you're on YouTube, you're seeing this right now, but I am actually wearing my Dead House Coffee logo shirt. This is our hardcore zombie design, the one that it actually scares my kids, so we only have it on limited products, but I love it. I think it's awesome. I named this guy Stan, but yeah, check it out, deadhousecoffee.com. So as I was saying, today, we're gonna discuss cash flow through better invoicing. It's really great stuff. So many companies lose so much money just because they stink at invoicing people. And the worst part is that there are tools out there. And in case you're wondering, for my day job, I do sell those tools, so reach out to me. But there are tools out there for small to medium businesses. You don't have to be a Fortune 500 company to get this enterprise level tech. There is stuff that's scaled down to businesses your size that's going to be at your price point that does what you need. Whether it's AP, AR, collections, whatever your pain point is, there's stuff out there to make your life so much easier. So who is today's guest? Oh, so glad you asked. Mr. Michael Eckstein. Michael Eckstein is an accountant and business advisor. He helps small business owners increase profitability, fix cash flow, and create business strategy so they can enjoy more date nights, take more vacations, and build their personal wealth. He also writes the best darn small business newsletter on the internet. Well, at least according to his mother. So, hey, I'm going to shut up. Let's bring Michael on in here.
Business strategy.
Michael, welcome to Shark Bite Biz. You, my friend, you just became Shark Bait.
Ooh, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all. We got a tradition on this show. Very first question, ask everybody the same thing, okay? What is your background? Where did you come from? How did you get what you're doing? What are you an expert in? Why should people listen to you? Basically, tell us what makes Michael, Michael.
So like most other accountants, I got into accounting because my dad is in accounting, right? Very fun origin story, right? Sometimes people have like the coolest origin stories. I'm just like, my dad, I can do math, right? So that's how I got into accounting. And then out of college, I worked for him. I mainly did tax accounting for a while. And now I'm kind of transitioning a little bit more into holistic advisory focused accounting.
So when you said tax accounting, are you talking just general tax accounting, personal business, payroll? What exactly?
For me, and typically, I guess, when you say tax accounting, it's, unless you specify what kind, it's typically personal and business taxes. But like there are tax accountants that only do payroll or only do state and local tax or foreign or whatever. But for me, it was kind of garden variety.
Yeah, we had on the show, this was, about 30, 40, maybe even 50 episodes ago by now. Charles Reed, who is the CEO of GetPayroll.com. And great guy. In fact, I still work with him to this day. Our companies have a partnership that we developed. And, it was pretty interesting because I guess I knew this in the back of my head. And I know taxes are complicated, but I never thought that, oh, wow, you do have people that can specialize in certain types of taxes.
Yeah. Certain types of taxes, it's like you don't even really realize how complicated tax is until you're really in there. There's certain kind of niches of tax that if a client comes to me and says, hey, I need XYZ, I'm like, you need another guy. Wow. Because some niches of tax, I'm like, I'll find you the guy. I know some people, but like some of them get like mega complicated when you really like dig down deep into it. And just like, could I BS my way through it? Definitely. But it's a disservice to my clients. So I'm not gonna, I'd rather be like, yeah, go somewhere else. Go someone I know will take care of you. Right.
That's the same thing with me. I think that's the ultimate relationship. I mean, with the podcast, I get a lot of people that reach out to me and they're like, hey, David, I'm stuck. I don't know what I need, but I listened to your show and I'm pretty certain that you're not going to yank my leg, that you'll send me to the right direction. Yeah. Because I have a pretty deep network as evident in this show. And that's something that I kind of pride myself on too. Like, yeah, come to me. I don't care. If I'm not the fit for you, I know people that will be the fit for you. So I thought that's a pretty awesome philosophy. And that also goes to the, the what goes around comes around type thing in my head too, because I believe in that a lot. You're doing good things. You're doing positive things. All that stuff is going to come back and ultimately, help you because, the person you just helped, I mean, who knows? Maybe a few years from now, he's with another company or they're with this or that. And they are my client because they're not going to forget how I unselfishly still help them.
Yeah. You took care of them when they needed it. Right.
Yeah. So right now, what exactly are you out there doing with the tax stuff? You're doing both the business and the personal taxes.
Yep, exactly. So I guess it's a pretty good summary, actually. I primarily do the business and personal taxes for my clients, right? I do some sales tax, some payroll, right? Typically with payroll, I put them onto a platform, set everything up, and I'm just like, this will take care of you, right?
Do you do that with the sales tax as well, too? Because that's pretty complicated.
With sales tax, if it's one state or two states, and this is just like general, I guess not tax advice. Nothing I say is tax advice. Don't sue me. But right, I always got to add the disclaimer, right?
Yes, you do.
With sales tax, if it's one or two states, if you're like a local brick and mortar retailer, you don't really have to worry. You have one state, two state, it's whatever. You can manually do it, right? Once you start selling in, online, you start doing e-com. It used to be a few years ago, no big deal. But then there was the Wayfair case, which totally changed, right? It totally changed the way sales tax nexus worked. And I can't remember what state it is. I just saw it the other day on LinkedIn. Someone was talking about it. If you sell one item in the state, you now have to collect sales tax for them.
It's right? Probably, I would guarantee probably that is going to be California. And maybe. I think they were one of the, if I remember, we've had Avalera on here, John Regan. He's a good friend of mine. And he came on and he was really explaining a lot with the Wayfair ruling and how that's changed. But even since that conversation, I already knew a lot of that stuff just from my day job with ERP. But I know right now I have a coffee company. I just launched my own coffee company about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Dead House Coffee, zombie themed coffee. Can't get better than that, right? And what I'm seeing here is that sometimes, you get into the cities or the counties and they also have their own sales tax. And that's where, oh my God, it gets super complicated. And, it kind of scares me a little bit because it like, how much of a mess is this going to become tax
Yeah.
time?
Some states aren't so bad. Like New York State likes to run all of its taxes through the state. So even city
Yeah.
tax, local sales tax, they go through the state and then I guess they worry about it. But some places you got to file a sales tax return with every single jurisdiction. And it's just
Yeah.
like, what a nightmare. Right.
Yeah.
So definitely there's a few softwares like Avalara, TaxJar. There's a few others I'm not remembering right now. It's worth it. Like they can be pricey. Don't get me wrong, but like,
Yeah.
it will keep you in full compliance. There's people there. I mean, I'm assuming I don't work there.
It's
There's
one
people
place
there.
for all the certificates, for example, because you could
Yeah.
have 50 different states that you're selling into. I guess John was saying most cases it's probably at least 48 because you're doing all the continua United States. And then within that, I mean, for example, I have my certificates right here. I think I got 4 or 5 of them. I have sales tax, use tax, wholesaler license, tax exempt licenses, and you got to keep all those numbers. And this is, like a digital storage house to have all of those in one place.
Yeah. Not only do you have to keep the numbers, but you have to have the number. At least in New York, you must have a certificate of authority to collect sales tax. So like if you don't have it and you try and do the right thing and collect sales tax without it, you're technically wrong still. So it's just like there's so many like rules and stuff that get the software integrated into whatever platform you're using, like Shopify, whatever it is, WooCommerce, I don't know, and let them worry about it. They'll track it and hopefully take care of everything right. Try and make it their problem. It's not worth the cost savings.
So I'm going to ask you then, since you're an expert on this, I'm using Shopify. I activated the sales tax only for Pennsylvania. I hope the California franchise board's not listening. But I active for right now. Now, as we're still doing our hard rollout, so it's not 100% rolled out. We're in soft launch mode. But with that, when they do the sales tax in Shopify, then are they collecting it and reporting that and paying that to the state, or is they sending that directly to me in the payments then too? And then I have to go repay it. Do you know?
I'm not a Shopify expert, to be honest. So
I'm going to get Shopify on here next.
Yeah. I mean, I do know if you do need a SALT attorney, a state and local tax attorney, I do know someone who, I think she works at the firm that was involved in the Wayfair case. So after
that'd be great.
Right.
Yeah.
But
SALT, that's actually very interesting because I've been seeing that around that I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure the state's not salty, that this is actually an acronym for something. And you just said it. It's state and local taxes. That's great.
Yep.
Okay.
It's the Rodney Dangerfield of taxes. It doesn't get any respect.
Yeah, there you go. So one of the things that businesses like me, whatever it may be, and it crosses over into a lot of the area that I help out with too, which is one of the reasons that I'm so excited to have you onto the show, is one of your areas of specialties is helping to automate and do smarter invoicing. Can you explain how you define that and how you vision that?
So my thing with invoicing, it comes back to cash flow, right? And, like the saying goes, what is it? Revenue is vanity, profit is whatever. Cash flow sanity. You get it. Everyone gets it. Cash flow is king. Oh,
cash flow is king. I was just about to say that, man.
Forget it. I George Bushed that quote. Anyway, cash flow is king, right? And in the accounting space, cash flow forecasts have become a much bigger thing recently because the tech has evolved where you can now easily do cash flow forecasts. Whereas like 20, 30 years ago, you needed to have proprietary Excel sheets. And accounting firms had them under lock and key. They cost a lot of money to have. But now there's software that integrates with base level accounting stuff, ERPs like you guys have, and you can have cash flow forecasts. But for me, I think that while cash flow forecasts are nice, fixing your cash flow issues are a bigger deal. And in the average small and like micro business, having better invoicing procedures will fix your cash flow more than a cash flow forecast will ever do for you. Why plan around crappy cash flow? Am I allowed to say crappy? I don't know.
You can say, well, you just did. I'm not going to beep it up.
Said it twice. I'll curse more. But why plan around your crappy cash flow when you can fix it, right? So I think there's too much emphasis on the forecasts, and we should spend some time talking about invoicing and fixing it.
No, so I want to back you up on that because again, for any new listeners out there that haven't, I don't mention every episode what I do for my day job, only when it's relevant in cases like this. But I do ERP. I run the Northeast and the East Coast for Vision 33 with SAP Business One and also Sage Intact. And with both of those small business solutions, I can say almost 6 years ago when I started with Vision, we did not get many prospects asking for cash forecast reports and stuff like that. However, and I don't know, maybe this is spurred a little bit because of COVID and people wanting to know more, but within the last year, I would definitely say that has increased a lot to where it's almost every other to 1 in 3 are asking for this type of stuff.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just noticing it now, but I feel like there has been a lot more talk about cash flow.
Yeah.
Everyone's always known it was important, but I think everyone finally realized the tech exists because even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the tech didn't really exist to be able to seamlessly do it like we can today. You still had to export data into an Excel. You still had to really understand cash flow to be doing these simulations. Now there's tech, there's like at least 5+ major apps that take care of it for you.
Yeah, there is. And, I kind of think that this is just like Microsoft Teams. This is just like Zoom, all that stuff. I mean, Zoom was here before the pandemic. Teams was here. Well, it was kind of still new a little bit, but you had that or Skype for Business. I mean, you had solutions like that that all existed to be able to work remote and stuff, but they were still kind of crude. And because of the emphasis that the pandemic has put on it, it's like, oh, they just got a big shot of adrenaline and got a lot of dev dollars put towards them. And I think the cash flow part has definitely experienced that within the last year. And, it's got a lot of buzz around it. So you mentioned about how they're struggling because of the terrible invoicing practices. How can they do the smarter invoicing then?
So I think it comes down to a few things, right? And we'll just start from the beginning of the process to the end of the process.
Yes.
Part of the problem with cash flow is every time there's friction in your cash process, it delays things. So if there's friction with the invoice, it slows down the payment of the invoice, right? So how can we remove as much friction from the invoice as possible? And I think that
what do you define as friction? Sorry.
Anything that makes it more difficult. So I guess to give you an example right now, it's like when you buy something online. If you can go there right there and click one button and pay, it's much easier to pay than if I have to mail a check.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly.
And that little bit of friction, like, the business has to take the credit card fee and pay that, the 2.93% or less, right? Yep. Depending on your processor. Yeah, you have to pay the fee, but it accelerates your cash flow like no big deal, right?
Yeah.
If someone can just click right there and be like, here's my credit card, take my money, they'll pay you right then. But if they have to mail a check, they look at the invoice and they go, I'll do this later, right? And a day or two later it impacts your cash flow. Yeah, on one hand, a day or two in the grand scheme of life isn't that much, but it just extended how long your invoices sit for a day or two.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly, I did the same exact thing when I had, because I made the LLC for this business, which I think I picked the coolest LLC name for the coffee and podcast is in this too. It's called Dead Brands LLC. It wasn't taken. How can you not have Dead Brands? So I picked it, and I had to get a zoning permit because it technically is done here from my home office, my house. And it just took me forever. I had the application filled out. I have it printed out. Honestly, as of this point, I have not submitted it yet. And it's just because I have to mail it with a check. But yet all the other state paperwork or I could just pay with credit card, do it instantly, fax it, whatever it is, all done. It's because I
Yeah.
have to actually mail the check in. And it's just, oh my God, so antiquated. It drives me nuts. And that is a friction, and it's delaying them getting that much needed revenue too.
Yeah. It's a real thing because, like, when you say it and you don't give the example, it's just like, oh, of course they'll send a check. It's no big deal to send a check. I just
Mhm.
grab the checkbook. But the reality is that, to a little bit, we're all a little bit lazy and we don't want to go out of our routine. And it's not like 40 years ago where you were regularly writing checks. In the
Yeah.
B2B space, people are still writing checks, sure, but not like they used to be. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, I gotta go stop what I'm doing, write a check, write the envelope out, send the invoice.
Yep. Find where I hid the stamps.
Yeah, where are the
I
stamps? I had to buy international stamps the other day. I was like, I didn't even know these
oh,
existed. Right?
international, what, like airmail stamps?
No, just your plain old. I've actually got them right here. Your
Oh,
plain
show them to the
old.
camera. Oh,
Right?
there you go.
Or block the address. That's what they look
Yeah.
like. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's it's almost like a wax seal, I guess it
A
looks
little bit.
like.
It's supposed to be a flower, I think.
Okay, okay, okay.
On a
Well,
sheet.
Zoom doesn't have the highest recording quality, but flour, wax seals, same thing.
They're nice.
But no, that's interesting. So, what solutions out there exist in your opinion? Do you really like to try to give it, you know, the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit to invoice and get paid to remove that friction?
I think there's two things. There's the software aspect of it. Like, obviously, you should move away from Excels and PDFs to legit, even lower end accounting software has invoicing, has pay online, has stuff like that. But I think a certain aspect of it is also on the user's end of it,
Hmm.
right? You should be talking about invoicing and payment terms during your sales process.
Yeah.
We focus so much on the amount of money we want to get paid, but not a lot on the payment terms themselves. And the payment terms themselves are an important thing. Am I getting paid beforehand? Am I getting paid afterwards? Are we doing milestones? How are we making this happen? What's the follow up look like? What's the fees, interest, stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's important. And
Hmm.
the more you can like really outline the invoice upfront during the sales process, and the more they expect the invoice, the less of a
Hmm.
surprise it is. And
Right.
of course, like they're going to get invoiced for the work, but it's still a surprise. And the less of a surprise it is, the faster it gets paid. Right. So there's
Yeah.
that. And the second aspect of the user end is making sure the invoice is correct. You know, it sounds silly, but I'm sure everyone listening has gotten an incorrect invoice. And
I do it all the time.
what happens when you get an incorrect invoice? You look at it and you're like, what? I got to deal with this now, right?
Yeah.
I have to send an email and it takes them a day or two to get back to you. You have to make phone calls. Maybe you're invoicing, you're doing your payables, you're paying your invoices like a Thursday night, a Friday night.
Hmm.
you know, that just dragged it out into the next week, right? So
Right.
something as simple as the invoice being a little bit wrong, and I'm not talking about like the wrong address or not having your logo on it. Those things, like, yeah, they make you look more professional, but they don't affect the invoice as much. Like, I'm talking like the line items. Like, I'm the
Right.
treasurer of a nonprofit and I'll periodically get invoices with incorrect line items. And it's like, I got a day job and now I got to go sit here and go call some random like nursery selling flowers and being like, listen, well, a line item 4 was wrong. And then the accounts receivable clerk wasn't there. So now they got to call me 2 days later. And like that invoice just got screwed for them. Right.
Yeah.
But it's a 5-figure invoice.
Yeah, yeah. And it's annoying. I'm guilty of it. I sometimes, rush through things too fast and I put in the wrong stuff on my sales invoices, and my customers love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it benefits them though. I put too high of a discount because it's like I can't remember what I said, but I know that it was at least 15%. So I'll give you 20% off and it's okay. It's stupid, but it's rare circumstances. It saves a little bit of time. So sometimes they benefit with it too. But I think one of the things that a lot of businesses struggle with is customers that pay late or are frequently late. like we have some of those customers. It's one of my largest customers. You know, we have net 30 terms and they are like, well, we don't pay anything to net 120. And it's like, that's not the contract you signed though. And it's like, what do you do with that?
So I think it's a few things. In that case, it depends if it's small business or enterprise. If it's small business, I would tell them to shove it out slightly. Huh?
It's small biz.
Okay. Yeah. But like, if they don't have like a legit accounting team in there, I would try and be like, listen, it's 120 days is ridiculous. You're not Fortune 500, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's kind of one of those things, and now we're going off topic, but sometimes you can only pick being right or being happy, right? Mm-hmm. So do you pick being right and enforcing the contract and getting lawyers involved and making sure that 30 days happens? Or you pick being happy and keeping the biggest client, you know?
Yeah. This one definitely being happy. Now they're small business, but they are multinational, C-level executives, all that stuff. So it's a little bit more complicated than I may have let on, but it's pretty good, solid stuff there. So let's, I think one of the things that I'm getting out of our conversation here, though, is that, like you said earlier, cash flow is king. And in order to fix cash flow, one of the top reasons businesses suffer is because of that invoicing. I understood that correct, right? Yeah. And removing all of that friction, making the whole process easier is really going to allow them to get their money faster. Customers are going to pay. I mean, with the coffee store example there, I mean, one of the things I did was, okay, I'm going to activate Amazon Pay. I'm going to activate crypto. I'm going to activate PayPal. I got Shopify Pay, Klarna, so they could do it in 4 payments if they want to do that, interest-free with for their coffee. I try to make it as easy as possible so that no matter what they're doing, I know that the payment options are not going to be, the part where this all breaks down.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of crypto, I've got to ask, because that's all over the news right now, with how everything's bid lately. Do you know how that exactly works as far as taking that in tax-wise, stuff like that, if you're accepting it as payment as a business?
So I don't know anything about crypto as a blockchain kind of thing. Like, I don't fully understand the tech behind it. But from the tax perspective, if you're selling an item for $20, and whether you get $20 cash or $20 Bitcoin, you still got $20, right? From their perspective. Like, for the business at the sale, there's a transaction of the sale. Now, if you hold on to it and you sell it later and it appreciates, you probably have to pay more tax on that. But,
okay. Yeah, because there is a blooming business right now of crypto payment gateways that are just out there accepting crypto. I mean, Coinbase Commerce is one that I'm using right now, and I thought that was pretty cool. I love bleeding edge tech, so as soon as I saw that, it was like, bam, I'm signing up. I want to accept Dogecoin. I love it. So let's jump into a few more topics, because we do have a couple minutes here left. One of the things that I did see on the bio sheet that you sent me that kind of caught my eye was the building a lifestyle business. And you have down lifestyle business versus normal business. Do you want to kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. All right. So
there you go. You got your first beep. No, I'm kidding. No, you're good. No, I'm kidding.
But my thing with business, right, is, I think small business advice is too kind of full of startup culture, is too full of you always have to grow. You always have to be bigger. If you're not growing, you're dying. You have to have employees. You have to make, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month. It's always more. Yeah. But we never take the step back and look at what is the goal of the business, because almost every business owner I know, every client, everyone I've met at an event, anyone has started it for a better life. They didn't start it. I mean, some people started to be a gajillionaire, I guess. Yeah, that's right. But some people started just to have a better life. And in the beginning, that can mean better work-life balance. That can mean, more vacations. That can mean, putting your kids on the bus in the morning, getting them off the bus later, being there to put them to sleep. Because, sometimes you have a long commute, you don't get home until very late. So these are the reasons why people start businesses. But somewhere along the way, in the beginning of the business, you need business advice, and you go to the same try and true books, the same advice. And it always kind of pushes people in this direction of, you must grow forever. You must be huge. You must be some sort of enterprise. And
year over year growth.
Yeah.
Do not stay stagnant. If you're not going forward, you're going backwards.
And you kind of lose why you started at a certain point. And instead of building the better life, you kind of end up in this kind of almost Sisyphean task of always growing. And it's a never-ending task. And the thing is growth really building a bigger business, or it is achieving the life goals you wanted when you started your business?
Right.
The business is just a tool for you. It's just money. Money enables the rest of our lives. We don't take it with us. We run the business so we can live a better life. And I think the focus, instead of growing forever, should be the life we wanted when we started the business. That's the goal, not the $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some deep stuff right there, man.
Right?
I think you just gave all of our listeners some good things to chew on.
Yeah. People don't talk about it though. And it's the thing that I guess almost pisses me off about small business advice, that either you have you must be the next big Fortune 500 company, or the people talking about living a better life are, I don't want to say crunchy hippies, but there's no in between where they're here's solid advice, but live your dreams at the same time. It's always one or the other extreme. And I've never met a client that fell into either extreme. Every single one is just I want to provide for my family. I want to not work Friday afternoons. Every single one, but no advice says that. That pisses me off.
Well, if you're in sales, man, you never work Friday afternoons. I'm kidding. Sorry about that, salespeople. But no, that's so very true. And it's like us with the coffee stuff. I mean, what did we do it for? Well, we did it because, one, it directly supports this podcast. But number two, it's okay, it gives my wife a chance to work, do some things. My mother, soon to be 18-year-old son, going to be helping too. So it's a family business. And it kind of just gives us an extra arm of revenue that allows us to kind of have that. And growth is important, I think, for us at this point, but it's just because we're starting out. And then there's going to be another, I think, another step in the ladder to where it's okay, we've made it to we're stable, And once we get to that stable point, then it's okay, let's continue this, growth is cool if we could do it, but it's more of, I guess you would call that lifestyle business by what you're defining it, correct?
Yeah, I think, in the beginning of any business, you have to put food on the table. It's a reality. You need money, right? And I think that's also something you always hear on the internet. Only take clients that pay you a lot. If you need money, take it, all right? You need money, right? You got to pay rent, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually you hit a point where you're doing well and you got to really figure out what your goal is, Because the reality is, with your coffee company, are you going to compete with Starbucks? Eventually you're going to have a cap, right? So why not decide for yourself? Instead of, stressing and always trying to push the cap, you're eventually going to hit the roof, to hit the ceiling, right?
Yep.
Hopefully your business does great and you do so well that Starbucks notices and tries to crush you. That's the goal, right?
Yep.
But
well, everybody loves zombie themed coffee, man. I mean, I've calculated there are 33.1 million coffee and zombie lovers out there. So I got a huge market.
Yeah, there's a huge market. But how much of that market do you really need to have your dream?
Right. Exactly. And that's where, we were looking I mean, if kind of one of those things where it depends how things go, if it grows, it gets big, huge, by happenstance, that's where,
fine.
Obviously we're not going to turn it down, we pursue
Yeah.
that path. But it's probably turning into more of a lifestyle business where right now, just the mode, get it up there to stability, pay the
Mhm.
bills, and, provide an awesome service to everybody out there that drinks it because it is the freshest coffee I've ever had. I love it. And I drink a lot of coffee. That's one of the
Mhm.
reasons why we went down that route was because, to be honest, started it just so that I could support my habit. I drink that much. I mean, I'm talking 10 to 15 cups of coffee a day.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not small ones, man.
Yeah.
These are large. So, um, yeah, it's good though. It's good. So, anyways, we do got to get wrapping up. Do you have any final words of wisdoms for all the small business owners out there listening to you?
Um, I guess we'll stay on the lifestyle business kind of topic, right?
Yeah.
Uh, really know what your goal is. And is your goal to keep getting that incremental 1% growth to keeping a little bit bigger? Or is your goal to kind of have more time off, more time with your kids to pay
Mhm.
down your debts? Like, figure out what the real, true personal goal is and know that your business exists to serve you and your goals. You're not, you know, a slave to your business. It's there for you. Even though you got to do the client work and you got to do all the admin tasks, it
Mhm.
exists. You created it for you and your better life, your dream. And that's the goal. At least I think.
Oh, that's great. That deserves a mic drop right there. Michael, this has been amazing. How can people reach out and digitally stalk you?
Oh, you can digitally stalk me
Digitally.
on LinkedIn.
Digitally.
LinkedIn, no big deal. My physical address, 175 West Carver Street. But yeah, LinkedIn.
Please,
um,
LinkedIn.
Yep. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm posting pretty much every day, whatever stuff. Or join my newsletter where I actually say the rest of my smart thoughts. Right. You
Yeah,
can
there you
find
go.
me at hashtag Michael.com. You gotta spell out the hashtag though. Right. Hashtag Michael.
Hashtag Michael.com. We
It's
will
memorable.
definitely, yes, it is. Yes, it is. We will definitely have that down in the description below, whether you're on
Mhm.
your YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, just click down there. You'll see the link to Michael's site. Hey, Michael, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been
No
fun.
problem. Yeah, no, this was great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Cheers. Wow, that was an awesome chat with Michael. First, you all know the routine. If you found this interview helpful, if it sparked those warm and fuzzies, do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. And if you really want to do us a solid, please share this out to your network. Let's get it out there in LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are out there on the internet. Okay, share this out there. I'd love to see nothing more than Michael and Shark Bite Biz trending. Now let's get back to our rock star guest, Michael. Some great points and excellent conversation. As I was telling you all earlier, Michael, you were watching this. I know you are. You're amazing. Thank you for coming on. Before I forget, make sure you do check Michael out on LinkedIn. Okay, you want to check him out. He does these amazing bite-sized videos that are like 5 minutes long, and I love them. They're, full of great information, and I was checking them, just kind of seeing what other people say of him, and they love him too. He's getting a lot of likes, getting some comments, and he just started doing it. So it's really cool to see him get that type of feedback so quickly after launch. Now, let's get into what he was talking about. Cash forecasting, okay? That is something, and I said this during our interview, but I've been getting more requests for that every single day with my day job at the Vision 33. It seems to be one of the hot topics of the day, and maybe that's brought on because of COVID, with the ups and downs of this pandemic. Companies kind of want to have more predictions, more visibility into what their cash flow forecast is going to be. And Michael brings up some excellent points to kind of counter that, saying, like, hey, look, those reports are nice. They're great, nice to have type of things. But realistically, it does nothing for your business if you don't fix the cash flow issues to begin with. Most issues come out of one source, and that's going to be invoicing and payment collections. So one of the biggest points then that I got from Michael is you've got to make it easy for your customers to pay. Think about it in terms of e-commerce sites. When you want to have the least amount of clicks as possible, I think Amazon was probably king of that back in the day with their, one-click buy button or whatever they call it. And it's the same thing when you're billing your customers. Having them being able to get the invoice, they open it, and all they got to do is 1 to 2 clicks, bing, bang, boom. It's paid. It's made your life so much easier because it gets you the cash that you need so much quicker, easier, less follow-up. You don't have to be chasing the money. And, I kind of look at something like Stripe. I think it's Stripe. I could be wrong. But I think Stripe's the platform that's used by like a ton of websites. And I love it because when I go to a website that has Stripe on it, like for example, I bought the coin, what was it, from the Daily Stoic. Here you go. I'm giving them a shout out right now. I bought their coin. It's got an Italian phrase on there. Just remember, like, hey, in fact, here it is right here. It's memento mori, that you could leave life right now. And I'm like, this is a great reminder because that's how I like to live life. Like, hey, any moment can be your last moment, do it on good terms, live life to the fullest. So I live by that in my head. And I'm like, wow, this embellishes that. And the coin was like 25 or 30 bucks. And I was kind of like, I'm a little bit pricey, for just a simple coin like this. But when I'm at the checkout, I put in my phone number and then all of a sudden I get the code. I put the code in. Like they already got the info there. It's got my shipping address. It's got my credit card info. And all I have to do is hit buy. So guess what? Obviously, I hit the buy button and it just like, again, bing, bang, boom. It has everything there. And it really just enabled me to do my impulse purchases. So I guess I can blame them for my shopping addiction, right? But seriously, I mean, that's kind of what you want to do with the invoicing to get paid for your customers. Make it as frictionless as possible. Give them the low-hanging fruit of them giving you their money. That is what Michael's talking about. It's great advice, and it's one of those business basic things, like business 101, getting paid from customers that as time goes on, especially you have issues like COVID and stuff like that, you kind of forget about it. It's there, but it's not really there. And it's kind of like hearing this stuff again, especially with a spin on it like Michael gives it, brings it to the forefront so that you can reevaluate how you do those things today. So, hey, again, make sure you check out Michael on LinkedIn, join his newsletter. He's a great dude, and I'm hoping we're going to be having him back on this show again. Question of the day: what do you use for invoicing? How do you make getting payments a low-hanging fruit for your customers? Again, do you want to be in the show? Just like Michael, shoot me an email, interviews@sharkbitebiz.com. Look, I am booked this whole year. We are completely booked for 2021 for guests, maybe even early 2022. I am overbooked. That's how bad it is. But don't let that discourage you. We're going to be doing some live streams. We just had one on hotline.co. We're going to be doing another one, and there's going to be a lot more to follow. And I want to bring people like you on the stage with me to discuss business. So please reach out to me. Let's do this. 2 final reminders. Make sure you join the channel on YouTube. Okay, $3 a month. You can become a baby shark. Or, like I said earlier, go to deadhousecoffee.com. Use the code SHARK. You can get an awesome shirt like this. You get 20% off your fresh coffee. It is literally roasted, peeled, and shipped to you within 24 hours. You will not find fresher coffee anywhere. Once again, I'm David Strausser. This is Shark Bite Biz. We'll see you all next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Shark Bite Biz. We hope you got some insightful info from this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us through your favorite podcast app and visit us on the web at www.sharkbitebiz.com. How has business changed for you in the 20s? Email us at podcast@sharkbitebiz.com so you can join us and share your story.